So hey everybody, if you remember Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube from 2001, it was one of its launch titles back in the day. Nintendo has finally released a sequel. I apologize, this is probably a year or so late. I know this game's been around for a little while now, but it still seems to be pretty popular amongst the gaming community, at least for the 3DS community. So yes, this time around, Luigi's Mansion 2 went to a handheld system rather than a console like the first game did. The first game was for the Nintendo GameCube. Um, this time around, guys, rather than Luigi trying to save his brother Mario from King Boo, this time around, Professor Gadd basically approaches Luigi for this new mission, or several missions, I should say. It's a big mission that turns into several small missions, and basically, there's this thing called the Dark Moon, and we're introduced to these new properties that Professor Gadd has gotten since the first Luigi's Mansion, and this dark moon basically powers those paranormal places that he owns. And somehow the dark moon goes missing. It's consisted of several parts that can make up of this dark moon, and so he recruits Luigi once again. Since he's too old to recruit them himself, kind of like what happened with the first game, where Professor Egad was too old to handle this paranormal activities that happen within this mansion, like in the first game. He recruits Luigi once again, who we thought was living happily ever after the events of the first Luigi's Mansion game. He wants Luigi to go back in to to not only the mansion but to several other places, around the mansion that Professor Egad owns. These other like smaller manors and smaller homes, and I think there's a vault and things like that. So just these other things that Professor Egad owns, so, because apparently he owns a lot of money, or has a lot of money that he spent on these paranormal places. And he wants Luigi to track down as many of these Dark Moon pieces as he can, while also trying to collect or help Professor Egad collect ghosts once again. Several kinds of ghosts, because there's several, there's boo ghosts and all these kind of boo ghosts that exist around these mansions and haunted places. And it's up to Luigi to help Professor Egad not only get the Dark Moon back, but to help him basically complete his paranormal collection by collecting as many types of ghosts as possible throughout these new haunted places. So that was where the player comes in. You go through all these places in the game, and you help Professor Egad track down like some old equipment, some new equipment that we haven't seen from the previous game, and get as many ghosts, get all as many Dark Moon pieces as he can, and that way Professor Egad will be able to have his Dark Moon back and be able to power his several belongings that are powered by this Dark Moon. So for the most part, guys, Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon is a pretty decent game. I think there's a few flaws with it. I think it definitely maintained that Luigi's Mansion feeling that we saw from the first game. But there's just a few things along the way, some few changes that they made that may impact how you like it or don't like it as much as the first game. There's some things that the first game had that I wish they kept, and there's certain things that they added to the game that I wish the first game had. So it's kind of good and bad, that kind of thing that exists for both of these Luigi's Mansion games. For the positives and negatives of Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon, you guys, I liked how there was no thumb-numbing controls like in the first Luigi's Mansion game. When you play the first Luigi's Mansion game, your thumb almost got a little numb on the left side simply because, you had to tilt that joystick a lot while sucking the ghosts up into the poltergeist vacuum, and your thumb just got a little numb after a while. It was a great game, but my thumb hurt after I was playing it for, a good hour or so. So luckily, with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, they've enhanced the poltergeist controls so that way your thumb doesn't go through a bad day after you play the game. So, this is another good 3DS game. That's a good example of the 3D aspects. This is a very good 3D game. I personally never play with the 3D that often. Like every once in a while, I see what does that look like in 3D, or if the 3D features on the top screen, and I'm curious to see what it looks like in 3D. I might turn it on every once in a while, or when I get a new game in general. It's always nice to see what Nintendo does with their 3D within that 3DS game. So, but this one, if you're looking for a good 3D game, Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon will not disappoint. The 3D does look pretty good in this game. Additional mansion aspects that weren't in the first game. So we know we got some weapons, we got some new utilities in this game that we didn't get the first time around. There's like a dark light device, and just things that help you, look through these haunted places and things of that nature that will help you find ghosts, help you find, equipment, help you find, basically anything EGAD assigns you to go look for in these mansions and manors and things of that nature. So just some neat little aspects that they've added into this game that was not in the first game. There was some good and some neat exploration factors to this game. I like how this is one of those games where you literally go into every room on almost every level, look through every drawer, look through every door, look through every closet, look through every sink, look through anything that Luigi can get his hands on or things that can be opened through his poltergeist vacuum. Because you may never know, there might be money back there, there might be things you're looking for, there might be purple jewelry, purple valuables that you can find throughout the game that will um, help Luigi basically expand upon that home that we helped reward him with at the end of the first Luigi's Mansion game. Um, Luigi can run this time around. I'm very thankful for that. He still can't jump. That's one feature I really wish they added into the sequel that the first game didn't have. I really hope Luigi can jump if they do make a third Luigi's Mansion. But Luigi can run this time around, and I'm very thankful for that. Because when you're playing the first Luigi's Mansion game, there's a lot of times where you want Luigi to run, and they didn't do it. All you could do in the first game was walk and tiptoe. This game, you can tiptoe, you can walk, and you can run. So that's a very good thing that Nintendo added because I was very frustrated with that when I played the first Luigi's Mansion game. This game also has multiplayer, something that the first Luigi's Mansion also did not have. It's fun. Not the greatest multiplayer game on the face of the earth, but it's fun. I like how it can be both cooperative and it can be treated both as a versus and a cooperative mode in a way. It's neither or, but depending on who you're playing it with and how you want to play it with that person, it can be both cooperative or it can be a competitive thing. And everybody plays as Luigi, so that's kind of the downside. I would have liked to have seen like maybe player 1 is Luigi, maybe player 2 is Mario, maybe player 3 is Wario, and player 4 is Waluigi or something like that. Just something that we want to see. Just not only Luigi handle the poltergeist, we want to see other plumbers in the Mario universe be able to handle this poltergeist vacuum. I think at some point, I think if they do make a third Luigi's Mansion, maybe make it like a multiplayer, or maybe here's a cool idea. What if they do like a Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventure kind of approach where it is a Luigi's Mansion game, but Luigi and Mario and Wario and Waluigi and Toad and Peach and everybody like that, maybe they can be a part of the adventure in some way. That might be a cool idea for a third one. Professor Gadd needs additional help for whatever the third one's about, and that could be the third one. You may never know what Nintendo does next. So, for the negatives of this game, one thing that I really miss from Luigi's Mansion 1 that they took away in this one, and it really, really annoys me, the saving progress of this game is scattered out. And I know the 3DS has a sleep mode on it and things of that nature, but if you have a busy schedule, if you don't really have a lot of time to play video games these days, this new saving progress approach they've done for this game is going to really annoy you. You can't save your progress until the level is done, and the game saves it for you. You have no control of when the game saves. If you hated how your result was with the level, nothing you can do about it. The game automatically saves. Really didn't like how they handled it this time around. In the first game, you can save your progress whenever you encounter a toad. And that feature was taken away in this game, and I'm disappointed that Nintendo took that away because it's actually very annoying if you go through all this work. The level's still not done because that's my next negative comment about the game. And yet you can't save all the things you've just done. And it's a really annoying thing, and that's easily the most disappointing thing about Luigi's Mansion 2. That goes to my next point, which is also very negative about the game. The levels are way too long. I understand people want long games. They want their bang for their buck. They want a longer, more challenging Luigi's Mansion game than the first one. But these levels are way too long. They really are way too long. I mean, at minimum, these levels in this game take at least half an hour. And maybe I'm just out of my touch. Maybe I'm out of the league of the current gaming, whatever. But come on, 30 minutes to beat a level. Really think about that. 30 minutes. You can't even save your progress to beat one level. Yeah. Too long, Nintendo. Please. Here's an idea. Cut back on the length of the level. allow people to save their progress, but have multiple levels, have even more levels than Luigi's Mansion 2 had. I think that'd be a much better approach. Don't have a small amount of levels that are really long. I mean, that's and you can't even save your progress till the end of the level. That's I just don't know what the thinking behind that was. Some really weird controls in this game. What they did this time around is since there is no C stick on the 3DS, to look up and to look down and to handle the vacuum up and down, you have to hit the top button. I forget what it is. I think it's the X button, and the B button is for for looking down. Um, Kind of a weird way to use the vacuum in this game because, like I said, I really missed that C stick from the original game. So maybe they could have adjusted the controls maybe a little bit. Just a recommendation. Um, there needs to be more of a theme, I think, this time around. In the first game, after a while, we start to realize that we're collecting a family of ghosts. There's a dad ghost, a mom ghost, a son ghost, a daughter ghost, a grandpa ghost, an uncle ghost, an aunt ghost, things of that nature. This game is just, you collect these ghosts and that's it. There's really no theme. There's really no, there's really never a sense of family with these ghosts. They're all just kind of there. We have a smart ghost this time, and we have a dog ghost, and I think there was a dog ghost in the previous one, but this is a different dog ghost, and just nothing that's really consistent. Just like, okay, here's this ghost, here's this ghost, here's this ghost, here's this ghost, and here's this ghost, and it's just like there's nothing consistent and overall matching with these ghosts, and I really wish Nintendo would have done that with this game. This game is also very easy to lose your way. It's very easy to get lost in this game. There's just so many moments in this game where it's like, okay, I've done this, this, and this. Now what do I do? And that goes back to the levels being too long and things. But there's just so many parts of the game where you really have no idea where to go, and that's a huge downside. I really want this game to have a better sense of flow and a better sense of, okay, I need to do this next, I need to do this next, I need to do this next. And for some reason, you kind of just have to work your way into the game, and eventually the game will just accept the fact that you're eventually beating it. So, not very welcoming in that sense. So it's kind of disappointing in that element. And overall, I just don't think this game is as fun as the first one. The first game was just so addictive. It's so fun. It was a great launch title. This game lost that edge a little bit. So, Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon, you guys, I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it is an overall good game. There's just many flaws with it. The levels are too long. I really don't understand Nintendo's thinking behind how you can save in this game. I think that's really ridiculous how you can't even save until the level's done. Easy to lose your way in it, which is really frustrating. Really weird controls. Needs more of a theme like the first game had, and overall, it's just not as fun as the first game. There's just something missing here that the first game had that this one just doesn't. So, pretty good game, you guys. Maybe not the first 3DS game you have. If you get a 3DS system pretty soon, like if you're new to that system, I definitely recommend like Super Mario 3D Land or Mario Kart 7 before getting this one. I'm glad I approached it that way ever since I had a 3DS. So, good game. Don't make it your first game. If you like the first Luigi's Mansion, this might be worth picking up. If you hated the first Luigi's Mansion, just ignore this game. I think you'll hate it otherwise. So,